Thank you. All right, Commissioner Lee, could you please call the roll?
Yeah, I'll start with Commissioner Cruz.
He's,
Okay. Okay. Can I read a couple more? Commissioner Singh? And? Okay. And Commissioner Watkins? Okay. Thank you. Commissioner Foster?
Good evening, I'm here.
Commissioner Lee, present. Commissioner Mallard?
Here.
Commissioner Wather?
Here.
Commissioner Weber? And Chairperson Zuber.
I am here, thank you. All right, we have minutes from June 1st.
Motion to accept the minutes as drafted.
Thank you.
Second.
All right, we have a motion by Commissioner Walther and support by Commissioner Weber. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. And we have an agenda this evening. Anybody want
Motion
to?
to approve the agenda.
All right.
Second.
All right, we have a motion by Commissioner Mallard and support by Commissioner Walther to approve the agenda. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Patrick, any new communications?
Nothing in addition to what's in the packet. We have 2 public hearings this evening. We haven't received any correspondence, letters, or emails for either public hearing.
Okay, thank you. Very good, which segues right into our public comment session. We, as Patrick said, we have 2 public hearings this evening, and those are for Kia of Canton and I'm not sure, is it Claybeck rezoning?
I don't know the pronunciation.
Okay, my apologies. If you're here about anything besides that, besides those 2 items, you are more than welcome to go to the podium and make comments, if you have something to comment about. Other than those 2 items. Okay, we'll move along then. Great. All right, so the first item on our agenda this evening is item number SLU-PZ26-00119 and ADS-PZ26-00118. And that is for Kia of Canton, where we're considering special land use and site plan amendment for parcels, 3 parcels. Located at 41840 Michigan Ave. The properties are located on the north side of Michigan Ave between South Lily and South Harity Roads. And we are looking at proposed new and used auto sales. So Patrick, tell us all about it, please.
Thank you. The Kia dealership on the north side of Michigan Avenue proposes to expand westward onto the vacant sites to the west. So on this map here, is an aerial photo of the Kia dealership where they have the existing building, the existing parking area. This area is on the north side of Michigan Avenue, just south of the Lower Rouge River. And years ago, the Kia dealership had special land use approval and site plan approval for the site that it occupies. However, these 2 parcels to the west don't have special land use approval. So at this time, the application is for special land use approval to expand the dealership onto the vacant parcels to the west, and also site plan review to construct the parking lot to the west, the landscaping, the lighting, et cetera. There are no new buildings or building expansion proposed. So what the proposal will do is it will add 121 parking spaces onto the vacant parcels to the west. And also there will be an expansion of the stormwater pond on the north side of the site. So northeast or northwest of the building, there's an existing stormwater pond. That pond will continue to expand westward and will span across the parcel to the west. With the 3 parcels, the applicant has also applied for a property combination to combine all 3 parcels into one. So that will simplify some of the internal setbacks and any lot line issues that may come about as a result of having more than one parcel that has an operation on it. Staff's recommendation is approval of a special land use on the 2 subject parcels. Based on our analysis, there are 8 criteria of special land use review that are in the zoning ordinance, and we have findings in our staff report. We recommend approval of the automobile sales special land use and site plan on the subject site. and subject to all state, county, and town requirements, and subject to the following 3 conditions. First, that all paved surfaces, including curbs and asphalt, and light poles are at least 75 feet from the top of bank unless a variance is approved by the Zoning Board of Appeals. Second, revisions to the landscape plans to comply with Article 5 of the zoning ordinance. And 3, revisions to the lighting plans to comply with Section 2.13 of the zoning ordinance. Those are relatively minor revisions, and the applicant has since submitted revised plans for review. So I think conditions 2 and 3 can probably be satisfied in a straightforward manner administratively. With condition 1, there's a provision in the zoning ordinance that requires that no structures or grading within 75 feet of the top of bank of the Lower Rouge River. There are topography lines on the site plan that indicates where we think the top of bank is, and there's a setback of roughly 70 feet from the top of bank on the site plan to the proposed parking spaces. So if that in fact is the top of bank on the plans, then the applicant can either move the lot southward to be 75 feet away or can apply for a variance. Regarding the definition of top of bank, we're still working with our engineering division to see how they would administer that requirement if there's not an official top of bank line. So we recommend including this as a condition, and we're still working with our engineering division regarding how we would define that top of bank, just so we can come to some agreement and then present that to the applicant in terms of whether to apply for a variance or whether to make the site compliant. So that concludes our staff analysis, and we'll be happy to take any questions.
Excellent. Thank you, Patrick. Is the project sponsor present? Okay. Could you please go up to the podium and let us know if there's, first of all, introduce yourself and give us your name and address for the record.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Timothy Wood with Nowak and Frouse Engineers, 46777 Woodward, Pontiac. I'm here with Justin, and he's with Bloom, the general contractor for the project, and then the project is for the Kia of Canton. Thank you, Patrick, for that detailed explanation. I appreciate that. We've been working with the planning review staff to confirm what additional comments may be needed. We're working to address those. We're confident that we can address all those comments. And the item about the 75-foot setback, we're at 71 right now from the property line, just depending on how that definition sits. If it's like the top of the conveyance for the river, then we're exceeding it as it is right now, but we're working with engineering for that definition of where that's taken from. But again, we're excited to be here, and thank you for this opportunity.
Thank you. I have a question on Patrick, can you bring up sheet 24 or page 24 of the packet? There's a drawing, and if you could zoom in like at the upper left corner, kind of up higher, yeah, up over, there's a line that says top of bank right there, and it's pointing to both the property line and that diagonal line. So which line is the top of
So
bank?
the top of bank is the thinner dark line right there.
Yeah.
The way the survey is defining the top of bank is just simply basically the top of a hill. And I guess the reason for question is because the river's not going to flow that high. Like if you look, the grades drop away from that. So the top of the bank for the river, as you go north underneath the bridge for the pathway, it's 20 feet lower, easily, not 20 feet, it's 10 feet lower. So it's just whether or not it's the top of conveyance, which would be more similar to the red line, which is the 100-year floodplain. That's like the highest the water's ever going to flow. So if we're protecting the river and the waterway, and it's defined as the top of bank for what's conveying for the river, then that would make that difference where no changes would be required. However, if it is the top of bank, as indicated on the plans, we're confident we can meet that without a variance and with minimal impact to the site or the project.
Okay, thank you. I just wanted to ask because I hate it when you snap to a point on a drawing and it's an intersection, so it's a little ambiguous. Okay, very good. Well, we need to open a public hearing, so anybody want to make a motion?
So move to open the public hearing.
All right.
Support.
Okay, I have a motion by Commissioner Lee and support by Commissioner Mallett to open the public hearing. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? All right. Anybody from the audience want to speak about this project?
Motion to close the public hearing.
Okay. All right, we have a motion to close the public hearing by Commissioner Lee and support by Commissioner Weber. All in favor, please say aye. Aye. All right, I'm going to start with you, Commissioner Lee. You have any comments
I
or?
don't have any real questions. I'm sorry.
Yes, okay.
Apologize. I don't have any real questions. My concern is always water, and I noticed that you did make the, what am I thinking about? The pond bigger, or you extended it. My only question, obviously staff feels that's adequate. If they're cool, I'm cool. Thank you.
Yeah, and the pond will be, our engineering division will review it just from a preliminary conceptual review, but the pond will be under the jurisdiction of Wayne County. And the pond, as it currently exists, it captures water from the site and then it outlets into the river itself. So this would be an expansion of that, so that would be under the jurisdiction of Wayne County.
Okay, thank you.
All right, Commissioner Weber.
I have no questions.
All right, Commissioner Foster.
No questions.
Okay, Commissioner Walther.
None for me.
All right, Commissioner Mallett.
I'm good. No questions.
Okay, I don't have any questions either. Anybody want to make a motion?
I'll make the motion.
Okay,
I move to recommend approval of planning application number PZ26-00119 for an automobile sales special land use at 41840 Michigan Avenue, parcel number 137-99-0018-704, and at 42034 Michigan Avenue, parcel number 137-99-0019-000, as the application meets the special land use criteria of section 27.03C of the zoning ordinance pursuant to the information and plans provided and staff's analysis of section 27.03C, and approval of planning application number PZ26-00118 for an automobile sales site plan on the three site parcels, subject to all state, county, and township requirements, and subject to the following. Number one, all paved surfaces, curbs, and asphalt and light poles are at least 75 feet from the top of bank, unless a variance is approved by the Zoning Board of Appeals. Number two, revisions of the landscape plans to comply with Article 5, zoning ordinance. And number three, revisions to the lighting plans to comply with Section 2.13 of the zoning ordinance.
Support.
all right, we have a motion by Commissioner Mallett and support by Commissioner Walther. Any further discussion? All right. Please call.
Commissioner Foster.
Yes.
Commissioner Lee, yes. Commissioner Mallett.
Yes.
Commissioner Walther.
Yes.
Commissioner Weber.
Yes.
And Chairperson Zuber.
Yes, motion carries. All right. What are next steps, Patrick?
Next steps will be for the applicant to proceed to the Township Board for action on the special land use application. Before doing that, we'll confirm conditions 2 and 3 with the landscaping and the lighting. And then with condition 1, we'll work with our engineering division and find out if we can come to some definition of what type of bank is, just so that we can inform the applicant of what to do next.
Excellent, thank you. All right, we wish you guys the best. Yeah, thank you. All right, item 2 is, and I apologize, I'm guessing Claybeck rezoning. Hopefully the project sponsor will correct my pronunciation. We're considering rezoning for parcel number 127-99-0001-000, which is also known as 4843 South Denton Road, Canton 48188. The property is located on the east side of Denton Road between Geddes and Michigan Avenue. The proposed rezoning of the property is from R1 Single Family Residential to R3 Single Family Residential. Patrick, tell us all about it.
Sure, thank you. The proposed application is to rezone this subject parcel, which is just under 6 acres and located on the east side of Denton Road, from R1 to R3. The main difference between the R1 and R3 is the R1 district is 1 unit per acre. The R3 is roughly 3 units per acre. This parcel's on, as I noted, the east side of Denton Road. It's located between Geddes Road and Michigan Avenue. And as you can see on the location map here on the screen, many of the properties in this area are large lot, deep lot, single-family residential. And fairly common in this area. One of the reasons that we don't see higher density or some of these lots repurposed for development like we do on some other lots are that the public sewer has not made its way into this part of Denton Road yet. It may in the future. Farther to the northwest, there is available sewer. It's roughly about 1,000 feet north on the west side of Denton Road at the Grandview Estates entrance. And so in order for the development on the concept plan submitted for this rezoning to be feasible, they would have to have sewer extended. So there are a lot of ifs, and if the development proposal takes multiple steps, the very first step would be to apply for the rezoning, just to have the site changed from R1 to R3. Looking on the zoning map, the site here is hatched, and the dark bold lines around it are the zoning districts. So this is in the R1 district and adjacent to other parcels that are also in the R1 district. The proposed site is in the R3 district, which is the abutting site to the north and to the south. So rezoning this site to R3 would be consistent with the sites to the north and the south. It's a little bit more dense farther to the northeast, R6. That's a little bit different in terms of the location where that has access off of Geddes Road itself. So the proposal is consistent with surrounding zoning districts. The master plan recommends a zoning of 3 units per acre. So the proposed rezoning to R3 is consistent with the master plan policies as well. With the rezoning, the zoning ordinance requires that when a rezoning proposal is submitted, that there also be a concept plan submitted. And the applicant has provided a concept plan for review. The plan is illustrative only. We make some comments in our staff review just in terms of some preliminary zoning comments about that. Essentially, what they are proposing on the concept is a cul-de-sac with, looks like 15 if you count the existing home, 15 detached condo units. These are detached condos, so they're not their own lot. So the area and yards around it are general common elements. As a detached condo, it makes it a little bit more feasible to be located on a site like this, because if it was its own parcel, the parcels would have to be 120 feet deep. The road easement would have to be 60 feet deep, so the lot width would have to be at least 180, and it's hard to get conforming lots in that manner. So one way to be able to get the density but not have to meet the strict lot requirements is to do a detached condo, which is illustrated here. The applicant could do lots, but they would most likely have to acquire a property to the north or south to get the required depth. So anyway, the purpose of this concept plan is just to illustrate that compliance is attainable in the R3 district. Even if this type of development wasn't feasible based on the density or something was prohibitive, whether it's setback or something else, there could be additional units on the plan. There might not be as many as 14 or 15, but there could potentially be more units, more so than the R1 district currently allows. So our recommendation, based on the analysis of the rezoning criteria of the zoning ordinance and the request, our recommendation is approval based on the criteria of section 27.06D4 of the zoning ordinance. With that, I'll be happy to take any questions.
Thank you, Patrick. All right, is the project sponsor here? All right. Please state your name and address for the record.
Good evening, Planning Commission members. I am Brian Biskiner from the Umbler Group. I don't think they want my address. I'm in Hamburg Township. I'm here with the owner, Adam Asfall, and we're here to answer any questions that you may have. The only thing from Patrick's detailed report that I'd like to put a sharper point on is the master plan, which recommends a density of 3 units per acre, recognizes a synchronous relationship between the sanitary sewer master plan and the master plan. So other than that, if you have any questions, I'll be happy to answer them.
Thank you. All right, we have a public hearing to open, so
Madam Chairman, I move to open the public hearing.
thank you.
Second, go on.
Okay, we have a motion by Commissioner Weber and support by Commissioner Foster to open the public hearing. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? All right, public hearing is open. Anybody here would like to address this project or speak about it? Okay. And again, please give us your name and address for the record.
Hello, my name is Amanda Pringle. My address is 4785 Denton Road. This is my partner, Tom. We are in the property directly north, so this would affect us greatly. The proposed rezoning would not only bring all these condos into the area, but there would be a road directly bordering my property and the current property. So our biggest objection is to this road opening up the middle of Denton Road to all this traffic. Denton Road, this is my 9th year in the property, and at the farthest west, border of Canton, it's very kind of has a rural feel, a country feel, and a lot of the people in the area moved to this area because of that. So putting in another development right there with a road right in the middle would kind of really disrupt the continuity and feel of the area.
Thought it was just gonna be a driveway to have access to a big lot in the back, right? That they were gonna build an area, so we would just have cars going by, just a driveway.
Sir, could you make sure you're speaking into the microphone?
This will ruin the continuity of the whole neighborhood. These are big lots. When she bought the property, she knew it was zoned this way, and the neighbor who sold the property, the one in question, knew it was zoned this way. He tried to rezone it, they told him no. So he knew he couldn't do it. The homeowner knew he couldn't rezone it when he bought it, and now he's trying to change it. This looks like a hat on a hat. This looks ridiculous. Like every other, so he's still gonna have his property in front of all that and then tuck a whole neighbor, the whole street. Nothing on the street looks like that. Like, I understand, if you look at the neighborhood, the block, whatever, there's all this empty land in the middle, so they're eventually gonna build all that out. I thought it was just access to that. This is ridiculous.
Okay.
So that driveway would be right next to our property. Literally lights in our window. Right.
Okay.
So there are other developments going up in the area. We thought that perhaps, if they did go ahead with this, there would be access from some of the other areas. There's an open lot on the corner of Denton and Getty's. Access could be provided through there without, breaking up the middle of Denton Road. There's another development, I'm sorry, I don't know the name of the community, but it's in sort of the back of this area to the
Okay. Thank you. I think we have been timing you, but I think you've probably exceeded your 3 minutes, but, yeah, sorry. Yeah, we need to time people, just because you get 3 minutes, so. Thank you very much for your feedback, though. Appreciate it. Anyone else?
I move to close the public hearing.
Okay.
Support.
Okay, we have a motion by Commissioner Weber and support by Commissioner Foster to close the public hearing. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All right. Patrick, can you address the comment about that they were told they couldn't rezone this?
In terms of what they can and can't do, at any time, any landowner can come in to rezone their property for any district that's in the zoning ordinance. So somebody in the middle of a subdivision could theoretically come in to rezone their property to industrial. That hasn't happened, but occasionally we do get rezoning applications that don't meet the master plan, don't even come close to meeting the master plan. And we can advise applicants going in what our recommendation is likely to be, but we can't speak for the planning commission, we can't speak for the board, and we can't prevent an applicant from applying for any district in the zoning ordinance, whether it's supported by the master plan or not. So in terms of them not being permitted to apply for a rezoning, anybody in the community that owns property is allowed to apply for a rezoning. In this case, in terms of what was said, I haven't had any conversations about that in terms of, what the expectations were or anything like that. But what's on the conceptual plan, it's just that, a concept plan. With a concept plan and a rezoning, you could like the concept plan and deny a rezoning. You could hate a concept plan and approve a rezoning because they're not related to each other. So approval of a rezoning does not indicate any kind of approval or a tacit approval of the concept plan. Likewise, a denial of a rezoning can't be based on not liking a concept plan because the concept plan is not related to the rezoning. There are cases where an applicant can apply for a rezoning of property with conditions, and an applicant can offer conditions in the way of a statement of conditions or a layout plan. In this case, there's no conditions that are proposed as part of the rezoning, so the concept plan doesn't really hold any weight. If the rezoning is to be approved and then sometime later, whether it's a few months or a year, few years, the applicant comes back at the concept plan and says, I want to do this, I showed this at the rezoning, it doesn't mean that the planning commission or the board would approve it because there are a lot of engineering details, traffic study details, looking at surrounding properties in terms of what that development does to surrounding properties. And that evaluation takes place later during a development application review.
So in other words, Patrick, just for clarification for these folks, any development or plan for this property will have to come back before this panel and ultimately the township board, correct?
That's correct.
Approval. So,
And there will be more public hearings.
yes, this is not final. This is strictly for rezoning of the property tonight.
Yeah, if it's a generic site condo without a PDD or a special land use, it would be reviewed by the planning commission and the board. There would not be a public hearing required. But if there is a PDD or a special land use, there would be a public hearing required with everybody mailed notice within 300 feet.
But at a minimum, they have to come back, it would be site plan review, correct? So it'd
Yes,
be
definitely.
a public meeting.
Yeah, so you could speak at a public meeting at the comment period that I just outlined at the beginning, that we have, the open comment period. You certainly can come back and comment about it when it comes back. But it's difficult to deny a change of zoning when the adjacent properties are already zoned what the owner wants to zone this one. So we have to find facts, unfortunately. Does anybody have any questions or comments on the commission? No?
No.
Okay.
I was just gonna say, this one's kind of sitting out there like an island.
Yeah. Yeah, I would certainly encourage the project sponsor to talk to the neighbors and, and see what you can do to work with them to address their concerns as you proceed with the project. So, anybody want to make a motion? I'm sorry, we closed the public hearing, so,
I'll make a motion.
okay.
I move to recommend approval of planning application number PZ 2600108 to rezone parcel number 127-99-0001-000 at 4843 Denton Road from R1 Single Family Residential to R3 Single Family Residential, as proposed, as the proposal meets the standards of section 2706 D4 of the zoning ordinance, as stated in the staff report, based on the following findings. Number one, the proposed R3 zoning district is in accordance with the basic intent and purpose of the zoning ordinance and is consistent with the master plan. Conditions have changed since the zoning ordinance was adopted, and the proposed rezoning to R3 will correct an inequitable situation and not grant special privileges. Number 3, the zoning amendment will not result in unlawful exclusionary zoning and will not set an inappropriate precedent. Number 4, the proposed R3 zoning is consistent with the existing land uses of surrounding property and is consistent with the trends in land development in the general vicinity of the property. Number 5, compliance with the standards of the R3 zoning district are attainable. And number 6, the proposed R3 zoning by itself does not result in a negative impacts on the township infrastructure, with a final determination to be made during the development application review.
Second.
All right, we have a motion by Commissioner Mallett and support by Commissioner Foster. Is that right? Oh, I'm sorry, Commissioner Walther, sorry. All right, very good. Commissioner Lee, could you please call the vote?
Yes. Commissioner Foster?
Yes.
Commissioner Lee, yes. Commissioner Mallett?
Yes.
Commissioner Walther?
Yes.
Commissioner Weber?
Yes.
Chairperson Zuber?
Yes, so motion carries. Patrick, what are next steps?
So the next steps will be for the application will proceed to the Township Board of Trustees for consideration. Because this is technically an ordinance amendment, the Board of Trustees has 2 readings on the application. They'll do a first reading at one of the upcoming meetings, and then a following meeting, they'll have a second reading and then action on the application. And again, based on the rezoning map here, if the rezoning is approved, it would make the site R3 similar to the north and the south areas, and nothing more. So in terms of a concept plan, a layout plan, it's illustrative purposes only, and it doesn't go with the rezoning itself.
Can I ask, did planning ask them to do an concept? Ask the planner or the owner to do something like this?
We had requested a layout plan with
Okay,
rezoning.
so you did request it. That's all I want.
Yeah.
Thank you.
With the rezoning, only because the zoning ordinance requires a layout plan. So
Got
what
it.
we wanted to see was, show us what you have in mind with it. And, some kind of a layout that might be realistic based on the zoning. Doesn't mean that they'll do it. It's non-binding for them or for Canton Township, but just something to give an illustration of how a development could take place under R3 zoning.
No, I appreciate that. That helps. Thank you.
All right. Thank you. Next item on our agenda is old business. We have item number 094-SPD-8057, Autumn Ridge Apartments, Phase 3, where we're considering a site plan on on Lots Road. The property is located on the west side of Lots Road between Cherry Hill and Palmer. And they're proposing 2 8-unit apartment buildings with attached garages and site improvements consisting of a parking lot, stormwater management system, lighting, landscaping, and an off-site dumpster enclosure. Patrick, tell us all about it.
Sure, thank you. At last month's Planning Commission meeting, we had reviewed the proposal for Autumn Ridge Apartments Phase 3 in a lot of depth. We went through all the standards, applicable standards of the zoning ordinance with the development. And at that time, the Planning Commission had postponed action on that application pending a couple of changes. The first was showing a crosswalk over Douglas Drive closer to South Lots Road. So on this aerial photo here, where the site is outlined in yellow, the crosswalk to go across Douglas, the Planning Commission wanted that crosswalk closer to Lots Road in line with the existing sidewalk. The plans have been revised to show that. Sheet SP has been revised, the other sheets have not. Before revising all the other sheets, they wanted to revise the one sheet just to make sure that that was going to work. So that change is reflected on sheet SP, and if the plans are approved, then the applicant would have to update any other applicable sheets to show that new crosswalk. The second item was to upgrade the facade to comply with the ordinance. The applicant has updated sheet A dash 2.12, which shows more stone and less vinyl, so that the stone is more than 50% and the vinyl is less than 25%. And it was just that sheet that was updated, and just like with the crosswalk sheet, if the plans are recommended for approval, then any other applicable sheets would have to be updated accordingly. So those were the two changes that were requested by the Planning Commission of the applicant, and the applicant made those on those revised plan sheets. So our recommendation is approval subject to conditions, and there are 5 conditions that are consistent with some of the conditions that we had recommended last month, so I won't read through those again, but happy to take any questions. Thank you.
Thank you, Patrick. Is the project sponsor present? All right, welcome back. Please state your name and address for the record again.
Good evening, Commissioner Zuber and esteemed planning commissioners. My name is Benjamin Tobin, Senior Vice President and General Counsel for TG Canton and all affiliated entities. And I'm here to answer any questions you may have, and really upset that Commissioner Cruz isn't here to see his requested change made.
We'll tell them all about it. Yeah.
I think it was actually a mistabulation on the stone facade and vinyl facade that was a big portion of it. We recalculated, and Patrick recalculated, and ultimately there was no major changes necessary, although there are likely to be some other changes as we discussed during the last Planning Commission meeting as far as the utility closets go and raising them to the roof line. I believe that is still going to happen because of the utilities we'd like to install into the apartments, but for now, I think all of your concerns have been addressed.
Yeah, it looks like the utility closets will go 2 stories, but they're also covered with stone 2 stories on this drawing. So it's a little confusing to see the colors, but, and not the other drawings updated, but I get why you didn't do that. But I have no problem with this. Do you, anybody have anything? No? All right. Entertaining a motion.
I'll do the motion.
Thank you.
All right. Trying to read this on my phone since I don't have internet tonight.
Yeah.
I move to recommend approval of Autumn Ridge Apartments Phase 3 on parcels number 094990001-001 and 094-99-0001-002, including a modification pursuant to Section 5.07 of the zoning ordinance to not apply the screening berm requirements of Section 5.03C4 to this site, subject to all state, county, and township requirements and subject to the following condition. 1, executing and recording an easement agreement and private road maintenance agreement to ensure the subject parcels have access onto Douglas Drive and participate in maintenance, if the subject parcels are not combined with the other Autumn Ridge parcels. Number 2, recording an access easement for any portion of the sidewalk along Lots Road that is located outside of the road right-of-way. 3, revising the landscaping along Lots Road to comply with Section 5.03C7. 4, obtaining variances for the front yard setback adjacent to Douglas Drive, the side yard setback on the west side of the site, and the building to parking lot separations distance prior to Township Board review of the site plan. And 5, the stone must be of sufficient thickness, quality, and durability acceptable to the Planning Service Division and Building Inspection Services Division.
Support.
Okay. Don't all talk at once.
Support.
All right. All right, we have a motion by Commissioner Weber, and I'm going to give that one to Commissioner Foster in support. Commissioner Lee, could you please call the vote?
Yes. Commissioner Foster,
Yes.
Commissioner Lee, yes. Commissioner Mallett,
Yes.
Commissioner Walther,
Yes.
Commissioner Weber,
Yes.
and Chairperson Zuber.
Yes, motion carries.
Thank you all. Have a lovely rest of your evening.
Thank you. All right. Next item on our agenda is item number 068-SPP-8457. That is Silver Creek Estates, formerly Everton Reserve, where we're considering a preliminary site plan for 3 parcels at 48030 Cherry Hill Road. The property is located on the north side of Cherry Hill between Beck and Denton, and the proposed use is 62 detached single-family residences. So Patrick, tell us all about it, please.
Sure, thank you. This is a preliminary site plan that returns to the Planning Commission after roughly a year. So for a little bit of background, the site plan for the site located on the north side of Cherry Hill Road, west side of Beck Road, and it kind of wraps around Dodson Elementary School. And it was previously named Everton Reserve, and it was renamed Silver Creek Estates. There is an Everbrook in the community, so the Everton was a little confusing. So Silver Creek is a name change. And what's on the screen here is, if I can get the right projection, okay, that's good enough. The layout of 62 single-family homes on the site. And last year, the preliminary site plan was recommended for approval by the Planning Commission on March 3rd, 2025. And after the Planning Commission recommended approval, the Zoning Board of Appeals approved wetland setback variances on April 10th of 2025. After the recommendation from the Planning Commission and the approval of variances from the Zoning Board of Appeals, the preliminary site plan was approved by the Township Board on May 13th, 2025, so a little over a year ago. And there's been, other than the name change, the most substantial change to this development is the access from Beck Road. In terms of the layout of the 62 units, the layout and the road layout and everything is virtually identical to what was previously approved. When the preliminary site plan was approved last year, there were two public accesses, a full public access from Cherry Hill Road and a full public access from Beck Road. After the approval of the preliminary site plan, the applicant then went through the permitting review process with Michigan Department of Eagle for the wetland permits. And during the course of that review, I don't know if Eagle officially denied the permit for the wetlands closest to Beck Road, but there was a lot of concern from Eagle in terms of there was more wetland fill than I think they wanted to approve there. And so the question for Eagle was, can the site still function without an access from Beck Road? According to our condominium ordinance, there has to be 2 points of access. In the past, there has been a second point of access allowed for emergency services only, where it's a gated emergency access only drive, where it's roughly 20 feet in width, not a private road. There would be a gate near the right-of-way, and it would only be accessed through emergency personnel, so they would have the keys to it and then be able to access the site if emergency responders needed a second point of access. So that would meet the criteria of having a second point of access. However, that would not make it a public access. So the major change since the preliminary site plan review last year was instead of having this as a 27-foot wide road, it's now a 20-foot wide drive. It doesn't have the same sidewalks. It doesn't have the sidewalks adjacent to it that the previous road did. So it minimizes the grading. It minimizes the fill of the wetland areas. So there's been a reduction in the amount of wetland that's filled closer to Beck Road. If any pedestrians want to use it, rather than sidewalks, they could probably just walk down the drive because it's not going to be used except in the case of an emergency vehicle. Still on Beck Road, the applicant still proposes to construct the sidewalk along the frontage of Beck Road, so this sidewalk will still be constructed. So that is the major site change. So going back to the traffic, with making the Beck Road access emergency access only, now all the vehicle trips will go through the one access on Cherry Hill Road. This property is not unique in the sense that there are a lot of residential developments, some of which are much larger in size that only have one driveway. So it's not really unique in that. But with the change to having 100% of the vehicle trips go through the Cherry Hill Road entrance, the applicant had updated the traffic study to show what the traffic impacts would be. And there are fairly minor impacts to the intersection of Beck and Cherry Hill. And with some retiming of the signal, the level of service deficiencies can be mitigated. So it's just giving more green time to one area, the one side than another to mitigate that. But it wasn't a very major change in terms of the signal optimization. Another item that was reviewed is whether there is a left turn passing flare, whether there was a warrant for that. The traffic study indicated that based on the number of vehicle trips, there would not be a left turn passing lane warrant at the intersection of the drive to the development and Cherry Hill Road. And Wade Trim had reviewed the traffic study and was in agreement with its findings and conclusions. Although there's not a technical warrant based on the criteria of the number of vehicle trips for the left turn passing flare, Wade Trim did recommend that there be a passing flare on the south side of Cherry Hill Road. That way, if there's any left turning vehicles going into the development, and if they're stacked up because of school traffic or some other reason, then any drivers that want to go around them would have a passing flare to go around on the south side of Cherry Hill Road. Our major concern was not a dispute about the vehicle trips or the methodology of the traffic impact study or Wayne County's methodology for requiring a left turn passing flare. Really, our major concern was that within a mile or so, there's 2 elementary schools and 2 middle schools. And during those AM and PM peak hours, that traffic volume can really spike. So even though it might not meet the warrant for the left turn passing flare based on the overall number of trips in a day, that's kind of spread out. When it comes to the school time for the AM and PM peak hours, that has a very large spike during those 20-minute, 30-minute hour intervals. And it's at those times that we're most concerned about the vehicle conflicts of potentially someone taking a left in here and there's school traffic. If traffic gets backed up, going westward, then if there's any eastbound drivers that are impatient, they may pull their car off onto the gravel road, the gravel shoulder, and then continue on. We see many areas of the community where people do that, where there's a rutted out gravel shoulder, and just something that we're concerned about here in the long run as the site gets developed and new residents move in and the school traffic is as high as it is. We foresee some occasions where people are going to be stopped there, turning left, and then people going around them. So we still recommend considering that left turn passing lane just because we think it'll be efficient for new residents of that area as well as any drivers or commuters that would be navigating around people pulling into the development. So that's our major comment on this one in terms of the traffic impacts. The last thing I'll say about the wetland setbacks are that because the drive in the northeast part of the site has changed and technically the setbacks to the wetlands have changed based on the configuration and the redesign, the applicant will have to apply to the Zoning Board of Appeals for variances for the new wetland setbacks in this area. These setbacks are much less impactful than the previous ones. It preserves more wetlands, and this provides a needed access to the site. When Eagle had asked me about whether to have an access here or whether not to have an access, we told Eagle that an access from Beck Road would be a must. I'd said that's at least my opinion as the community planning manager, and our condominium ordinance supports that as a second means of access. So the question would be, how can it be designed to be the least impactful to the wetlands possible? Ultimately, that'll be a question for Eagle, but in terms of the setback variances themselves, it's less impactful than the previous variances that were reviewed. One other area I did want to mention was that, and this didn't come up during the last review, is there is a 70-foot wide drain easement around the drain. And the zoning ordinance requires that there be a 25-foot setback buffer from either the top of bank of a drain or from the outer lines of an easement area. So when we first reviewed the site plan last year, the buffer was closer to the drain itself. The plans now show a 70-foot easement, which means that instead of the 25-foot buffer being measured from the top of bank of the drain, now that 25-foot buffer would be measured from the easement line. I spoke with the applicant's engineer today, and he had noted that this 70-foot easement, it's not an existing easement. It is a proposed easement that will be dedicated and recorded for Wayne County as one of the conditions of the permitting. One of our concerns with this, and it's not something we'll be able to answer tonight, is whether the applicant should include a setback variance for the drain in addition to the application for the wetland setback variance, only because the question of if the drain easement gets recorded before construction starts, there could potentially be some nonconformities, or if some future owners are building decks or patios off the back of their homes, and there's this easement there, having a variance throughout the community to measure it from a certain area, it could provide some long-term benefits. But again, that's not a question that we fully answered yet in terms of the timing of when an easement gets recorded and how effective it is for a site plan like this. So that's something that we can continue to explore and advise the applicant accordingly. This is just something new that came up on the plan. My guess is that that 70-foot easement is it's an area that's prescribed by Wayne County. I don't disagree with the Wayne County rules in terms of what they want for their easement. But our zoning ordinance, it is what it is in terms of measuring from that easement line. So that's something that we'll continue to work with the applicant on, and whether to apply for the variance now and just try to get that out of the way at this early stage, or something to perhaps wait on to see if there's a timing issue of recording that easement and potential future approval of the plan. So that concludes our staff report, and I'll be happy to take any questions.
Thank you, Patrick. Project sponsor, please tell us more.
Good evening. I'm Mike Knowles with the Umlar Group, 49287 West Road in Wixom. Patrick has a couple slides he's teeing up for me. I'll keep it brief and just focus on the issues that Patrick lined out for us. Again, Silver Creek, 62 homes on 35 acres, fully compliant with the zoning and fully compliant with the master plan, both prescribed 2 units to the acre. Next slide, please, Patrick. So why are we here? So I was calling it kind of tongue-in-cheek the preliminary site plan. So in 2023, December, we started the preliminary planning. Took 6 months to get all of the reports. I won't go through them all. You've seen them all. This is our 7th public meeting on this particular job. We went through the rezoning. One of the 3 pieces was a RR that we rezoned to match the other parcels, and that was 3 public meetings in early 24. We went to ZBA, as Patrick mentioned, to get the technical buffer. When Eagle moves the wetland line, allows the fill, the buffer moves with it, but you're actually doing work in the buffer, so there's a little bit of a technical chicken and egg thing happening there. So we took care of that. We're approved at ZBA. Preliminary site plan, we were here before you for 1 meeting, and the Board of Trustees for 1 meeting. So Trustee Foster got to see us twice on those trips. Then we began the detailed engineering. So before, as you know, before we go to final site plan, we have to have all of our permits in place before we can go for final site plan. So we did that. We did the detailed engineering for this plan as you saw it. Outside agency permits, once we've satisfied township engineering, we applied for our outside agency permits. We actually have a Eagle water permit in hand. We have an Eagle sanitary permit in hand for this development. Wayne County is substantially complete. We've got a couple of minor drafting things to wrap up the stormwater components, the Wayne County C permits for the access and the soil erosion controls. And then, as Patrick mentioned, the Eagle Wetlands permit was the last one. It usually is the last one that you get. And Eagle was not happy with it. They did not deny the permit. They did end up with 94 public comments on that. Too much impact to the wetlands. It was a little ironic because we had originally started our concept with it being a emergency access only. and we switched it over early on, we all thought it was a great idea. I thought it was a great idea. I think I bragged about what a great idea it was, even though it wasn't my idea. But it was a fine plan, but Eagle said, no, you gotta do better. You gotta impact this wetland less. Go back and try again. As it stands, this permit is gonna get denied, so you need to revise it. So in the process of revising it, it kind of bumps us back to the site plan again. That's why we're here again for the same site plan, because it's a fairly significant change, even though it seems insignificant. It's a significant change because it changes the flow of the pattern of the traffic. And so it's something that the Planning Commission and the Township Board need to weigh in on. So we have to come back again for site plan at the PC, site plan at the board. We have to go back to ZBA because the buffers we got variances for are now changing as we've changed our impacts to those buffers. And another chicken and the egg component of the easement that doesn't exist needs a setback from that easement. So we'll have to take care of that at the same time with the ZBA. Then we will revise those permits that we already have in hand, which won't be difficult. And then we'll finally get the Eagle Wetlands, and we'll be here again before you for our final site plan, which is what I thought I would be before you today doing final site plan, because we were so close till we hit the pink box, which was too much wetland impact. Next slide, please, Patrick. So the difference between the two plans, the approved plan is on top and the revised plan is on the bottom. There are virtually no changes to any of the layout, any of the unit configurations. The only change is the access drive going from full service to emergency access. And there's one other minor one, which you'll see on the next slide, please. So when we said, okay, how do we make less impact? Not only did we change it from a 27-foot back of curb to back of curb full access driveway down to a 20-foot, which saves you 7 feet of impact immediately, but we also dived the road down a little bit more. And what I did here is the bottom was the original impacts. This was the approved site plan that will not get approved by Eagle. On top is the revised one, the one that's before you today, with the emergency access only. So we did a little bit of a sharper turn there, and what I did was I highlighted where the road used to be, and also in red where the impacts used to be. So you can see directly a comparison in the top slide between the red boxes and the green boxes, and you can see that our impact to the wetland went from 0.5 acres down to just under 0.1 acres. So it's a significant difference. That's what Eagle's charged for. Different outside agencies, of course, have different jurisdictions, different constraints, different requirements, and so this was one. They asked us to go back, and that's the change that we did. You'll also notice that we were able to slightly change the configuration of the pond. The red box that we're not impacting anymore is because the pond adjacent to it, we were able to scale that back a little bit without having so much pavement and storm in that full access road. We were able to slightly change the volume of that pond to further reduce the impact. The front entrance has not changed at all. Patrick, next slide, please. So the last major issue, again, I promised to just focus on the major issues, is the traffic impact study. We had a traffic impact study before. It said all is well, but we had 2 full service entrances. We have a traffic study now. It also says all is well. It was reviewed by your consultant, who also said all is well. This is a straight zoning proposition. So this is not a PUD, a PD, any of the boutique zonings. So we're not asking for any deviations in any of the separations, any of the subdivision requirements, which is just a point of fact, not a mountain that we're looking to die on. As you know, Pulte Homes of Michigan has built more homes in Canton Township than any other builder, singly. They've got a lot of projects in Canton Township. They work closely with Canton Township staff and their engineering departments to bring quality developments. And so what I had the engineers do today was to draw up what that passing lane might look like so that we could understand what it is that you're maybe asking, not asking, suggesting, considering that we do, and it's not the end of the world. You know, it wouldn't normally be required under a straight zoning thing. It's not warranted. And so if you look at just the math, the warrants will show you that SEMCOG has you apply a certain rate of expansion of traffic. And what the traffic engineers do is they double that rate. Let's say SEMCOG's wrong. Instead of 0.22%, they use 0.5%. If at the doubled rate, this passing lane would be warranted in 73 to 74 years. Okay, so the math doesn't pan out to require it to be here. Pulte did not send me in here to die on this hill. They know that Canton is reasonable. They want to move expeditiously through to bring these 62 units to market. You can see we've got a lot of time, money, and energy invested in the project, and we would like to get on with it. So if it's something that you must have, we understand. If it's something that you don't need because it is a straight zoning proposition and it isn't warranted, that's something that you could consider too. In Patrick's memo, he said he wanted to hear from the Planning Commission and he wanted to hear from the city attorney about whether or not this is something that can be required under a straight zoning proposition. We're interested in hearing those answers too, which is why we're here. And as I mentioned, we are generally cooperative and enjoy working in the township. So those are the major issues. Again, the reason for it going to emergency access only is why we're talking about this issue. And I think the last slide is just, second to last slide is just a reminder. It's a great development, 62 units. It's got 51% open space. Remember that the requirement for open space in a straight zoning proposition is 0. Now, you can never get to 0 because you got to have open spaces for entrances and ponds and setbacks and those types of things. But it's got 51%. Even in a PD, you're only required to have 25. So it's a really great open space plan. It really minimizes the ITC lines. It maximizes the use of the Mott Creek as backyard backdrops, as we talked about at length in our other meetings. And it is a condominium, so it does appeal to another buyer who doesn't want to do the snow, doesn't want to do the lawn, wants to live in Canton, wants to have a great development with a lot of open space. Last slide is, I hope we can still enjoy your support. You've supported us all the way through by granting us all the approvals for 6 public meetings. And we can answer, Kirk Thomas is here with Pulte Homes of Michigan. We'd be happy to answer any of your questions. And I did try to keep it as short as possible, but you know me, I've been coming here for 20 years. I like to talk. So thank you for your time, and we're available to answer any questions you might have.
All right, thank you, Mike. All right, I'm going to start with Commissioner Mallard.
So, I mean, I like the idea of the
Passing lane.
On the left hand. Because I mean, anecdotally, I drive up and down that road quite often, and the traffic does back up. So my question was going to be like, with the traffic impact study with that school there, and all of that traffic that you'll have at those peak hours, I mean, it seems reasonable to have more road access to, navigate around things, especially as you're going to have only one in and out of that subdivision. So, I mean, I think it makes sense to have that passing lane there. More of a comment than a question, but.
Yeah. Okay.
Thank you.
I agree with Jeff. I go down Cherry Hill all the time, and I talk to people who move out of Canton, and one of the big reasons is the traffic, along with the school traffic, having to get around that school traffic and having to wait for people to turn into neighborhoods with the school traffic. People get frustrated. And that's a big concern about, people that are moving into and out of Canton. Do we want to deal with this traffic or don't we? So, they can make or break a new neighborhood that's going in too, is the access to that property. And then the other thing is with the gated emergency access, are you going to also put a gate by the private road as well?
It hasn't been discussed, but I was thinking the same thing as
people
I was
don't
looking
read.
at it today, because you drive to the end of it, and then what, do you got to turn around and go all the way back? So there should be another gate. I think it makes sense to do it just past the maintenance path around the pond. That gives you an opportunity to turn around when you hit that gate. But it'll still be open to be able to walk through the woods, walk your dog, walk around the gate, no problem. But I think, yeah, a spot to turn around right where that maintenance strip goes around that pond might make sense, that you can see it from the street and go, oh, this is not going anywhere.
Okay, I'm good.
All right, Commissioner Foster.
Agree with what has been said, but I think it looks like a good development. Love the open space.
Okay, Commissioner Weber.
Patrick, refresh my memory on the requirement in the ordinance about 2 ways of access. Does it have to be, do they have to be like public access, or does this meet that requirement if we just make this emergency only?
The ordinance states that a cul-de-sac, there can't be a cul-de-sac that has more than 20 units on it. So that it defines the cul-de-sac as just a long road and ending in a termination, where if there wasn't the emergency vehicle access here and this was just closed off, then I would argue that the whole road network within it would be one large cul-de-sac. The ordinance doesn't specify between whether the second access is public or emergency services only. So we looked through there. We didn't see anything that really clearly said that it had to be a full-fledged public access. So I think the intent of the 20 on a cul-de-sac is so that there's not an extraordinarily long cul-de-sac that just goes on and on without some other break or some other way of access. So because of that, and we have done emergency drives before, emergency access drives before, and then we also look to the fire code. And so the fire code, I'm pretty sure that this wouldn't be allowed without the emergency drive out to Beck, because I think it would be too many units on one access from a road. I think fire would have wanted another access.
And then another question I have is, what's the history of any flooding with the Mott drain? I mean, I'm looking at the last 2 units there, 59 and 60 in particular, and how close they are to the easement. And I don't want a Grandview Estates situation. So I mean, I want to make sure we're not exacerbating an issue here. So I was wondering what the history of that drain is in terms of flooding.
Yeah, with the Grandview, there's a lot of unique things that happen there in terms of just a whole bunch of different factors. This one, I'm not sure what the history is and what the hydrology is. That is something as a community we're a lot more aware of. And I think one of the things, and we may look at with this development to the extent that we can, to try to have maintenance provisions in any kind of documents, just to make the homeowners association aware of the requirements to keep that drain clear. In this case, the drain goes straight across. A lot of it is historically agricultural, but one of the things, just by looking at it, that we'll have to watch for is once it goes eastward away from the historic farm area into the wooded areas, sometimes those can be areas that are where there's blockages just because there's trees and there's beavers, or the vegetation has more of an opportunity to grow. There's not people that live next, in the backyard of it to kind of watch it. So, that'll be something that we continue to watch and we keep our eye on. In terms of in a backup situation, what the water does, that I'm not really sure of.
Okay. And finally, just a comment, the passing lane, I think, is absolutely necessary. I understand that's not necessarily warranted or required by ordinance or anything like that, but sometimes common sense has to come into play. And I've seen too many neighborhoods around here where we've done work on roads and there's no passing lane. I've seen when the left-hand turns get made into the neighborhoods and just backs up traffic. And people do get impatient and start doing dumb things. So I would be a proponent of that of the passing lane being put in place.
Yeah. Commissioner Lee?
I would definitely echo the same thing. It just makes sense. Even though it's not, I don't care, it just makes sense. And we've driven through this. I think what it helps you with, though, is that even though you may not have more road capacity, it appears that the flow is better. Because there are peak times, and it may only be 20 minutes to a half hour, but that is incredible. Just go down south, down Canton Center with the school there. That's it. All you have to do is like a little pass-through, and it alleviates the situation. But that backs up at certain times, so you decide not to go during that time. So yes, I agree with everybody on the board. The passing lane is important.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah.
Water is important, too.
Yeah.
That's the other one.
I have to agree with all of the comments that have been said about the passing lane and the water, so here. But yeah,
Wonderful. That being said, we, as the applicant, would be willing to offer that as a condition of approval for the preliminary site plan. Certainly, we'll continue to work with your engineers and with Wayne County while we finalize our permit to make sure that we have the appropriate capacities and dedications to make the Mott drain operate properly in this area. We have one additional advantage of the way the Mott drain is configured, is that it's significantly lower right after it leaves our site. So we've got kind of the flat spot of it, and we've also got control of that, because that's an easement, and so nothing would prevent us from doing some maintenance on that. And with all those homes backing up to it, that's gonna be a feature. As I mentioned when the first time around, we've lined those up so that those are people's backyards, so that they can enjoy that backyard living, and they're gonna want that to be clean and free-flowing, not beaver dams and flooding problems. So we'll definitely keep our eye out as we dial in our final engineering and finalize those permits. And again, Pulte Homes of Michigan will offer the passing lane as a condition for the preliminary approval of this site plan.
great.
I had one more question.
Sure. I'm sorry, you had your chance, sir. Just kidding.
On the pond, originally, the top one there was larger.
Yes, sir.
You reduced it to
Yes, sir.
pull it away from the wet. Does that cause any potential risk for anything?
No, because we've reduced the amount of impervious surfaces and the storm that was going into it. By changing that drive from being a 27-foot full-length driveway to something smaller, it also has less requirement for storage as well.
Right, okay,
Yeah.
so if it was, the drive was there, it would need to be.
It would need to be bigger, that's, yes, absolutely right.
Okay. Anybody want to make a motion?
I can make the motion.
Awesome.
We need to amend this one to say to add the passing lane
Need that, just the condition.
as a condition. I move to recommend approval of the revised Silver Creek Estates preliminary site plan, formerly named Everton Reserve, planning application number 068 SPP 8457, which consists of 62 detached single-family residences on parcels number 068-99-0007-001, 068-99-0007-002, and 068-99-0011-704, subject to all state, county, and township requirements, and subject to obtaining any necessary variances from the Zoning Board of Appeals for encroachments into the required wetland setback and drain setback areas. An additional condition to build the passing lane on the south side of Cherry Hill Road.
Support.
All right, we have a motion by Commissioner Mallett and support by Commissioner Foster. Any further discussion? All right, Commissioner Lee, could you call the vote, please?
Commissioner Foster,
Yes.
Commissioner Lee, yes. Commissioner Mallett,
Yes.
Commissioner Walther,
Yes.
Commissioner Weber,
Yes.
Chairperson Zuber.
Yes, motion carries.
Thank you very much. We
We'll see
appreciate
you
your
again.
cooperation.
Thank you. All right. Next item on the agenda is Summit on the Park, SPX-PZ26-00138. We are considering site plan amendment on parcel number 084-99-0001-702, also known as 46,000 Summit Parkway. The property is located on the north side of Summit Parkway between South Beck Road and South Canton Center Road. And they're proposing building and parking lot modifications. So Patrick, tell us all about it, please.
Sure, thank you. The Summit on the Park, which I think most of us are familiar with, they are proposing some additions to the building, and I'll zoom in on the site plan itself in a little bit. But right now, I'll just look at the aerial photo here. So it's on the north side of Summit Parkway. So Summit on the Park here is the building, a large recreation center, and there's the large pond in front. There are a couple of significant additions. I'll start with the addition to the fitness center on the north side of the site. There on the plans, the east side of the fitness center here, there's a proposal to square that off and expand the fitness area. In our review letter, we had included some wrong numbers from the plans themselves. We had noted a 15,000 plus square foot addition to the fitness center. I think that's the ultimate floor area of the fitness center. The actual addition part of the fitness will be 2,879 square feet. Also, the second part is some revisions to the south side of the building. There will be an entrance and vestibule area added on the south side of the building. Even though our letter states that this is 9,889 square feet, the actual addition portion will be 1,187 square feet. So smaller than what was in the intro of our letter, but the recommendation based on the plans will be the same. The vestibule area is just to add another large public entrance. And with that, in this vehicle circle and drop-off area, this drive area, this pavement area will be widened. The landscape medium in between will be removed, and there will be angled parking added in the middle of it. So cars will enter from the south entering the loop. They can perpendicular park. They can go around the loop to do drop-off. They can perpendicular, or
Angle park.
Angle park, I'm sorry. They can angle park on either side, and then they can exit out of this northern drive here. So I'll bring up the plans here on the screen. And this is this demolition plan, and okay. So I'll focus most of the comments on the site plan for the vestibule and the parking lot area. The area with the gym addition on the north side of the building is fairly straightforward. It meets the setbacks. The materials comply with the zoning ordinance, are consistent with the adjacent materials, as are the materials of the building vestibule area. So to zoom in on the drive area, so cars will enter from the south. They can angle park. They can drop off. They can pick up, and then they can angle park again. So with this design, there are just a few recommendations that we have that we've also sent to the applicant and that we recommend including as conditions of approval. The first is with the angled parking on the south side. Sometimes angled parking as well as perpendicular parking, the cars can sometimes overhang a sidewalk. Because the sidewalk is heavily used, we recommend widening the sidewalk to 7 feet instead of 5 feet. That way, if there's a vehicle overhanging by a couple of feet, there's still 4 to 5 feet of sidewalk that people can travel through. Our second recommended condition is to narrow the one-way driveway on the north side to as low as 15 feet, or narrow the north side of the driveway to 15 on its west end and add appropriate signage. With a wider drive, sometimes a wider drive on the north side would entice vehicles to enter through there. If vehicles want to enter the site, if they see a wide drive, they might be enticed to go down the wrong way. Even if there is signage on both sides of the drive, if it's a wide drive, you're less likely to see the signage. So this entire drive, we would recommend narrowing it to about 15 feet wide. If that's not feasible, what we'd recommend doing is narrowing this exit point 15 feet wide, just to narrow it down, to choke down a little bit and give a visual cue from curb to curb that it's only going to fit one car. And in addition to that, put do not enter signage on each side of the curb. That way, if there's a vehicle coming and they might want to enter this way, there's the narrower curbing that would dissuade them, and then with the signage that would send the vehicles to the south. The third recommended condition is to add parking blocks between the new adjacent rows of parking. The reason being is that if, say someone parks here and they're ready to leave and the site in front of them is vacant, sometimes our natural instinct is just to pull forward and pull out. And that might entice someone to pull forward, and then the easiest turn to make is right, and then they're going the wrong way. So if there's parking blocks in front of the spaces there, everyone who is leaving will have to back out, and then they'll use that one-way circulation. And then finally, there's just some minor changes to the photometric plan to comply with the zoning ordinance. So that concludes our staff presentation, and we'll be happy to take any questions.
Thank you. I'm guessing you're the project sponsor since you have the TMP logo on your vest. Do you have anything to add to what Patrick already said? You need to go up to the mic, please. And tell us your name and address for the record.
Good evening, I'm Derek Dinkaloo with TMP Architecture, 1191 West Squared Lake Road, Bloomfield Hills, Michigan. I think the only thing that I would add is just that what we're looking at here with the new entrance and in this parking area is an attempt to consolidate a couple entrances in the building, improve security, and then in this parking lot give some parking spaces for seniors that are closer to that entrance.
Okay, great, thank you. Anybody, I'm going to start with Commissioner Lee this time.
I have no comments. Thank you.
Okay, Commissioner Weber,
I have nothing.
Commissioner Foster.
Nothing, except I'm excited about this project.
Yeah. Commissioner Walther.
I'm good. I'm excited about the more accessible parking area there.
Yeah.
Yep.
And Commissioner Mallard.
So I have a comment on so in the middle, where the drive, where the parking spaces are, would it make sense to have a walkway between there? But so you have, cars parking on each side, you're gonna have cars coming, traffic flowing through. You said it would make it more accessible for people to get through, so you may have people getting out of their cars and then walking basically through the drive, where on each side there's a sidewalk, maybe in the middle, kind of like a path to get straight into the building, so you don't have to go out into traffic. Just a
well,
thought, like I've seen that in some other parking setups to where I think it's like for a safety reason.
Yeah, we can certainly look at that. I think one of our main concerns in that was to still have some semblance of the loop and be able for people to drop off and have, whether it's kids for camps or
Yeah.
or even seniors,
you still
that they
keep the
can be
loop
dropped
around.
off without going through. So-
Right, but as a car parks in each one of those spots in the middle, if you have like a walkway in the middle, you can exit your car and walk straight, than having to come out into that
We
loop.
would, yep, we can certainly look
I
and see
mean,
what
it's just-
fits.
I don't know if that's a,
It might be possible for the angled spaces. The minimum width of a drive is 15 feet, and it looks like these drives are 20 feet wide. So I don't know if they'd want to go all the way down to 15, because 15 may be a little narrow, especially in the drop-off area where somebody may be dropping off and someone might want to bypass them to go around. Here in the drop-off, you might want 20 feet wide, but we may want to consider maybe narrowing the drives adjacent to the parking, and if it's possible to push the parking out a little bit, and if there's a walkway strip that could be added down the middle, we can look at that administratively and see if that's that's got potential.
That's a good question. Yeah. I don't have anything to add. Good, good. We're excited. Anybody want to make a motion?
I'll make a motion.
Okay.
I move to approve planning application PZ 26-00138 for the site plan amendment for the Canton Township Summit on the Park Building and site changes at 46000 Summit Parkway on parcel number 084-99-0001-702, subject to all state, county, and township requirements, and subject to the following site plan changes. Number one, widen the sidewalk on the south side of the new angled spaces from 5 feet to about 7 feet. Number two, narrow the one-way drive on the north side to as low as 15 feet, or narrow the north side of the driveway 15 feet on its west end, and add appropriate signage. Number three, add parking blocks between the two new adjacent rows of parking. Number four, revise the photometric plan to comply with Section 2.13 of the zoning ordinance.
Okay.
Support.
All right, we have a motion by Commissioner Mallett and support by Commissioner Weber. Any further discussion? All right, Commissioner Lee, please call the vote.
Commissioner Foster.
Yes.
Commissioner Lee, yes. Commissioner Mallett.
Yes.
Commissioner Walther.
Yes.
Commissioner Weber.
Yes.
Chairperson Zuber.
Yes, motion carries. All right, thank you. All right, next item on the agenda is DIR-PZ26-00133, Motor City Electric Utilities Facade Modifications, where we're considering a site plan amendment on parcel number 132-01-0027-300 at 5390 Belleville Road. The property is located on the west side of Belleville Road between Michigan Avenue and Van Born Road, and they are proposing some exterior facade staining and painting, including the brick. So Patrick, tell us more, please.
Sure, thank you. So Motor City Electric is on the west side of Belleville Road. This is south of Michigan Avenue, south of the Walmart, which is the large building with the white roof there. And it's located in the LI Light Industrial District. And the applicant is proposing some facade modifications. There's pictures of the existing facade, and the applicants want to paint the block on the building. And then with the brick itself, originally they had proposed painting the brick. We don't recommend painting brick because paint can encapsulate it, trap moisture, and then during the freeze-thaw cycle, it can lead to crumbling of the masonry. So in the past, when people wanted to paint the brick, we recommend that they use a stain or a lime wash or something that allows the masonry product to breathe. So the applicant has proposed in this case to have a stain, a dark stain on the masonry, and it's illustrated here where on the lower portions here, it's a dark gray, almost a black, and then there's a red band at the top. The purpose of it is for the coloring of the stain and then the paint on the block to match the company colors. So looking at the pictures of the building, so what would be stained would be this brick that's located on the front side of the building and the side, part of the side of the building. And these are old pictures from the old motorhome building. So we've had proposals before where mostly it's commercial sites that want to paint the brick, and in some cases it's been approved, other cases not. In commercial areas, we're much more sensitive. If this was a commercial property, if it was on Ford Road in the DDA, something like that, we would probably not recommend doing that at this scale just because it's a wholesale color change and it's a pretty stark color change between the brick and what's proposed here. But this is an industrial district. I'm not sure it really warrants the same attention as a more visible commercial district. So with this, we don't really have any strong recommendations one way or the other. But if the Planning Commission is satisfied with the stain product and the color, then we'd recommend approval of the proposal to stain the brick on the front and the side portions at the subject property. So with that, I'll be happy to take any questions.
Thank you, Patrick. Project sponsor? Yeah. All right. Please state your name and address for the record.
I'm John Stevens with the McFate Group, 1026 Baker Road, Dexter, Michigan. And I don't really have too much to add that Patrick hasn't added. This change came after we've completed 3 other projects with Motor City Electric, and they've decided their kind of branding for their building is a darker facade with a red stripe. Otherwise, we would have done this, a couple years ago when we were here for the Planning Commission. So this is a kind of a late add. The project is in the final stages. We're wrapping up the last part of the yard. And so this is kind of an ask from
Okay.
we're totally on board with the stain. So as an architect, I don't recommend painting the brick either. So
Right.
a stain, a semi-transparent stain, you'd still see some of the lighter and darker shades. The contrast to the brick is kind of what we're proposing. I sent over to Patrick. There's a GAF, and then there's a company up near Brighton called Noctaw, I think is the company that does some of the masonry staining as well. So right now, currently, we're looking at the GAF product. That's a semi-transparent stain.
Okay.
The rest of the block, it's all just, it's unpainted block. They have the signage that's on the existing from the motorhome, so we're proposing just painting that a light gray, just to get rid of the signage that's the rest of the building.
Okay. Well, as a fellow architect, I think that stained brick will look a whole lot better than what's there.
Yes.
That is some really attractive brick. Yeah, it's,
I wanted to do this a long time ago, but
yeah,
it took the owners a little bit of time to get.
sure, yeah. Well, I think it'll be nice. So anybody else have any comments? No? No? Okay. Anybody want to make a motion?
I'll do it.
Okay.
I move to approve planning application PZ26-00133 to stain the brick on the front and side portions of the facade at 5390 Belleville Road, parcel 132-01-0027-300, as illustrated on the plans and materials submitted by the applicant.
Support.
Okay, we have a motion by Commissioner Weber and support by Commissioner Walther, right? Okay, it's hard for me to tell your voices apart sometimes. So any further discussion? All right, Commissioner Lee, could you call the vote, please?
Commissioner Foster,
Yes.
Commissioner Lee. Yes, answer myself.
Almost
Commissioner
forgot.
Mallett, I know. Commissioner Walther,
Yes.
Commissioner Weber,
Yes.
and Chairperson Zuber.
Yes, motion carries. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Good luck, yeah. All right. Next item on our agenda, we've got a full agenda tonight, don't we? Is DIR-PZ26-00137, ZCC-PZ26-00136. Lotus Banquet and Sports Center. We're considering a site plan amendment on parcel number 138990006-701, also known as 43335 Michigan Ave. The property is located on the south side of Michigan Avenue between South Morton Taylor and South Lily Road. And they're proposing to add an entrance canopy and building elevation improvements and parking modification. Patrick, tell us more, please.
Sure, thank you. A couple of weeks ago, we met with the applicant to talk about the proposal and the project. And at that time, we had recommended applying for a certificate of zoning compliance so that they could make their request for the parking lot modification. And so that's one of the application numbers in this request. And that's the main part of the application, and that any proposed changes to the facade would be mostly administrative. We had received the applications at the same time, so we wanted to include the facade modifications in tandem with the parking lot modification request, because I think both requests help each other. And with the facade revisions. Most of the changes are relatively minor, and they're improvements to the building. This is the tailgate garage building on the south side of Michigan Avenue, and it was used for indoor recreation for a few years, and then it unfortunately closed recently. So it's been vacant for a while, and the applicant would like to purpose the building for a banquet and event center. It's something that we don't really have of this size in the community. We have some smaller facilities, some shared facilities, but nothing of this size or scale. So this is something that can be a regional draw and something that can support a lot of demand within the community and within the region. With the building design itself, there are some improvements to make the building look a little bit more inviting. One of them is adding a glass door entrance on the north side, which is the front side of the building, with a canopy that extends over the door and the sidewalk. A canopy over the existing main entrance on the west side of the building, which extends over the sidewalk. Adding large windows on each side of the main entrance on the west side of the building. Adding windows over the western door on the south side of the building, and adding cornice on the north and west sides of the building, and adding a parapet over the main entrance of the west side of the building. So adding the canopy, adding the windows, adding the cornice, it will make the building look more inviting, more open, more decorative, more of an event type of facility. So those are improvements. They meet the requirements for setbacks. The building still maintains the 50% brick. The main request for the application is a modification for the required parking. Based on the parking required in the ordinance, it requires one parking space per 2 persons legally admitted at one time, plus one parking space per employee for a banquet facility. So that's a lot of parking for a banquet facility if it's 1 per 2 plus 1 per employee. When we looked at other ordinances, both in the area and nationally, a lot of ordinances that we saw have the ratio at about 1 space per 3 people that can be in the building. In some cases, people go to a banquet, they drive alone, but oftentimes when they come in groups, 3 or 4 people a vehicle, and a lot of ordinances average them out roughly about 3. So to have 2 parking spaces is on the high end. We looked at ITE's parking generation manual, and we really couldn't find anything that was suitable that applied to a The site was originally approved for 150 spaces, which would allow a banquet facility for 300 occupants, with 2 fewer occupants allowed per employee. The applicant has provided some information that's also in the packet that justifies that supports a parking of 1 space per 3 persons legally admitted at one time based on the ordinance regulations in other communities. Looking at other ordinances across the nation and in Michigan, we find a lot of ordinances have 1 per 3 and no apparent shortages for parking. Therefore, we recommend approval of the modification to the number of required parking spaces for the banquet center to be 1 space per 3 persons legally admitted at one time, plus 1 parking space per employee, subject to the construction of additional parking spaces if necessary for future customer traffic based on demand. Some of the plan sheets that are in the application this evening are taken from the original site plan for the tailgate garage. They do show future parking areas, expandable parking areas that at that time were not proposed. They're still not proposed, but they're illustrated on the previously approved plan. At some point in the future, the applicant intends to initiate that and come to the Planning Commission for site plan review to expand the parking lot, but not at this time. So the parking lot will likely expand in the future. If for some reason there's a shortage of parking based on ongoing demand of the facility, that parking construction would be a requirement. Also with banquet centers, a lot of times If they're hosting large events and people are traveling, if they're staying at a hotel, a lot of times there's shuttle services and things like that for a regional facility such as this. So we think that the parking can be mostly self-regulated, but we do recommend a condition of construction of additional parking spaces if necessary for future customer traffic based on demand. And that is illustrated on the previously approved plans themselves. So if additional parking had to be constructed, it is feasible, and it was shown on those. So with that, our recommendation is approval of the applications, including approval of one parking space per 3 persons legally admitted at one time, plus 1 parking space per employee, pursuant to the parking modification standards of section 4.01C6 of the zoning ordinance. With that, we'll be happy to take any questions.
Thank you, Patrick. Project sponsor, do you have anything to add to what Patrick just said?
Hi, I'm Matt Badrak Design Group, 336 Ridge Road in Grosse Pointe Farms, Michigan. Patrick does a wonderful job. I mean, he talks like this entire time, and he knows his stuff. I think this is great. So we did have a super productive meeting a couple weeks ago where we went through all these details here. We followed up. You see it in the packet. We went through all the neighboring municipalities, see what their parking requirements are. We looked at other banquet facilities. There's not a lot of standalone banquet facilities. There's a number of ones that are within strip centers, so they share a lot of that parking, so we didn't include those in our calculations here. But there were three that really stood out to us and show that, you know, we're not asking for something crazy in terms of the parking. So if there's any other questions, I'm happy to answer. Oh, just one other thought there too. So they do have, there are some notes, about 25% of people that attend, so the ownership also owns another banquet facility in Southfield. So based on their data, about 25% of people do come from out of town. And I think they've already started to work with some of the hotels around here about being able to handle that shuttle service like Patrick had said. Is there?
Great. Good. Okay. Thank you. All right. Who did I start with last time? I don't even remember.
Just open it up.
Yeah, we can just open it up. Anybody? Nobody?
I just, real quick question. Patrick, the one that we approved on Lots Road, 2 years ago, 3 years, is that ever going to happen?
Well, that was also proposed by the same applicant, and we did talk about that. It is still very much planned. That one is a much larger facility than the one that is on this plan. So according to the applicant, there's likely demand for both and different sizes of events. So maybe some of the, call them smaller to mid-size events, this is a good facility. For some of the much larger events where there's several hundreds of people, maybe over 1,000 people, the one on Lots Road would be the one proposed for events like that.
Great.
Does, what was this before? What was the?
Tailgate garage?
Yeah, okay. Now it clicks. Okay. And you said something about,
Clicked for you.
I'm sorry?
I clicked.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah.
You said that, and I see that there are 2 retention ponds on the south side, right? And so the parking, I'm assuming any additional parking wouldn't be necessary beyond that. I mean, beyond, you wouldn't have to take out a pond to put in the parking. That's what I'm.
Down here.
Yeah, we've talked about that on the part where, on the previously approved plans where they show potential expandable parking area north of the pound, south of the existing parking lot. Beyond that, if there was parking beyond that in the southeast corner, there may be potential for additional parking there. The 2 biggest questions are, first, to your point, possibly expanding the ponds to accommodate more impervious surfaces. And second, if there are wetlands in this southeast corner, then they would be subject to eagle review.
Got it. Okay. Thank you. That's all I have.
Anybody else? Who wants to make a motion?
I'll go for it.
All right.
I move to approve planning application PZ 26-00136 and PZ 26-00137 for the banquet event facility and building changes at 43335 Michigan Avenue on parcel number 13899 0006701, including the approval of one parking space per 3 persons legally admitted at one time, plus one parking space per employee, pursuant to the parking modification standards of Section 4(1)(c)(6) of the zoning ordinance, subject to the construction of additional parking spaces if necessary for future customer traffic based on actual demand and subject to all state, county, and township requirements.
Support.
All right, so we have a motion by Commissioner Wather and support by Commissioner Mallard. Any further discussion? Nope. All right, Commissioner Lee, call the vote, please.
Commissioner Foster,
Yes.
Commissioner Lee, yes. Commissioner Mallett,
Yes.
Commissioner Wather,
Yes.
Commissioner Weber,
Yes.
and Chairperson Zuber.
Yes, motion carries. Good luck.
Yeah.
All right. Next item on the agenda is SPP-PZ26-00070. That is Canton Center Condominium, where we're considering a preliminary site plan on parcel number 064-99-0011-702. It does not have an address. The property is located on the west side of North Canton Center Road between Salts and Cherry Hill Roads. And what they're proposing is 5,000 square foot, single-story commercial building and an 11,240 square foot, two-story commercial building. Patrick, tell us more, please.
Sure, thank you. The subject site is on the west side of Canton Center Road, north of Cherry Hill and south of Lots. Specifically, this is a vacant site just south of the ITC power lines, and it is across the street from the U.S. Post Office and then part of Griffin Park. It's a very long, narrow parcel, and it has some limitations in terms of how it can be developed. Before getting into the site plan itself, one of the unique aspects of this site is that it has two different zoning districts. It is in the C2 zoning district on the east half, and C2 is community commercial, and it is R3 single-family residential on the west half. So if we go back to the aerial map, that lines up with the adjacent uses to the south, where on the west half, there's a condominium or a subdivision that abuts the R3 zone portion of the site. And on the east half, that's zone C2 community commercial, there's the orthodontic business to the south. What's proposed on the site plan, I'll get into in a moment, is the applicant, we've met with the applicant on several occasions and looking at how best to develop this site. And really, with a split zone site with something long and narrow like that, there's questions of, is it best to rezone the site? Is it best to do a PDD? How can we fully use the site based on its zoning or what the master plan might recommend? So what the applicant has opted to do, which is probably one of the more feasible ways to go about a development, is to propose a condominium where it's a non-residential or commercial condominium. We've had commercial condominium projects before in Canton, some of which are new projects. Most of the ones that we've reviewed are older projects where there's a site development and it's being split up, and so building areas are units of a condo and the other areas around it are the general common elements or the limited common elements. So this is something similar, but they're starting from scratch with a greenfield site. So I'll go to the condominium plans themselves. And so the application itself focuses on the east half of the site. The west half of the site that's zoned R3 single-family residential, it is an undeveloped portion on the site, and it's shown as Unit 3, something that would be developed in the future, but as part of this application, nothing's really proposed there. In the future, what would most likely happen is with the access drive on the north side of the site, it has a stub on the west side. If there's a future residential development to the west, then that development would be incorporated into the overall condominium project. And this access drive at that point would be converted to something like a private road or something similar like a private drive that would be similar to a private road so that they would have full public access to that area of the development. So at that point, there's a stub here for the drive, there's a stub for the sidewalk, so there is future access to that area. Most likely, if it retains its residential zoning, then in the future, there will most likely be a residential development. Until then, the applicant is proposing detached condominiums, 2 building pads shown, and each building is proposed to be a unit. So there's unit 1 and unit 2. And surrounding each building are the limited common elements and the general common elements. The limited common elements are elements that can only be used by the unit it's adjacent to, and then general common elements can be used by anybody within the condominium. In some cases, there are some common uses of limited common elements, and usually the master deed and bylaws can spell that out. And then with a condominium, there's an association, so between the association, they can resolve a lot of the issues that do come up typically in condominiums. With a condominium project, just like when we looked at Silver Creek earlier in the agenda, condominiums, they go through preliminary site plan review, and then they go through final site plan review. Between preliminary and final site plan review, both of which have to be reviewed by the Planning Commission and the board, between those two processes is full engineering plan review by Canton Township Engineering Services and Wayne County, as well as any state and county permits that are applicable to the development. So on the preliminary site plan review, the applicant has included a lot of details about the parking. There's a landscape plan. There's a lot of other details that would be shown for if this was a commercial site plan without a condo, a lot of those standards would be met. And at the preliminary site plan review, the main items to look for is the general site layout. Does it comply with the ordinances? If it does, then the preliminary site plan is approved. Then the applicant goes and does final engineering, gets approvals from township engineering, county engineering, and state of Michigan for any required state permits. And then once obtaining all those, they come back for final site plan review for everything on the site. So at the time of final site plan review, everything will be finalized in terms of the overall site development. But there's enough on the plans here to indicate that it complies with the zoning ordinance in terms of the drive access, the number of parking spaces. The drive access has parallel spaces. It has the dumpster enclosures. It has loading areas. We have some minor comments regarding some of the site layout items, but nothing too major. One of the items that is not shown on the plans are the building designs themselves. And in the letter, we indicated that the building design would be something that is deferred to final site plan review. In discussing with the applicant's legal counsel today about some of the challenges of that, one of the challenges is that the end users may not be known, and they might not be known and the units sold until after final site plan review. So there's nothing necessarily in the condominium ordinance that requires the buildings to be shown in terms of their designs. So that's something that can be deferred until after final site plan review. What that would mean is that if everything except the building design was approved, the process would be first preliminary site plan review through the Planning Commission and the Township Board. Second, the full engineering review with Township, County, and State of Michigan. Third would be final site plan review for the layout of the site, including lighting, landscaping, dumpster enclosures, et cetera. And then there would be a fourth step. And the fourth step would be anyone who wants to construct a building would have to come in with a separate site plan application. It would be a commercial site plan application, and they would basically be saying, there's an approved condominium, the parking's there, the landscaping, everything is there, and now I want to submit a site plan for Planning Commission review and board review for the building that takes place on that pad itself. And the caveat is that any building would have to fit within that unit outline that's shown there. Otherwise, if it doesn't, they would also have to apply to amend the condominium unit boundaries, and they would only have to, they could only amend those subtly, because with the landscaping and the parking and the sidewalks, those unit boundaries and building boundaries are pretty much locked in. So it is possible for a condominium project to go through the process and not have a building design. A building design is not necessarily required in the condominium ordinance. We had a case a few years ago where there was an applicant that wanted to get preliminary condo review without the building designs, and the Planning Commission had postponed that because the Planning Commission wanted to see the building designs. In that case, that was a residential project with a residential developer that had designs, just didn't include them in the application. So at that point, the Planning Commission had insisted on seeing those building designs before proceeding with the preliminary site plan review. In this case, it's different because it's not a residential builder. The design of the buildings is unknown at this time, and it'll be something that would be known by a future buyer or a future owner. So those are things that they might not put on the table for design until they acquire the building or the site, in which case they wouldn't until there's a condominium approved. So it's a little bit of a chicken and egg situation, but what the condominium would do is it would lock in the site layout, everything on the site except the building design, with the building design being deferred to a future commercial site plan application, and those buildings required to meet the material and the design requirements of the ordinance at that time. So that's just one unique thing that came up today in terms of deferring the building design, perhaps after the final site plan review, but still looking at everything else like landscaping, lighting, parking, the unit layouts, pedestrian circulation, everything else except building design. So in looking at the plans, if the preliminary site plan is acceptable to the Planning Commission, and the Planning Commission approves deferring the items noted to final site plan review that we note in our letter, we would recommend approval of the Canton Center condominium preliminary site plan on the subject site, subject to all state, county, and township requirements, and subject to final review of the building design, landscaping, lighting, dumpster enclosure design, and signage being deferred to final site plan review. With the, instead of building design, we would revise that to building location. And then the building design itself would be in a separate site plan review application after the final site plan review, if not sometime before. So that concludes our staff review, and we'll be happy to take any questions.
Thank you, Patrick. Project sponsors, come on up. Tell us who you are. Good evening.
Good long evening, everybody. I'm Ali Berry. I live at 100 Barrington Place in Dearborn, Michigan, but I got to tell you, I walked into work today at 365 North Canton Center, our dermatology office, and I had a happy 20th anniversary sign. I've been here for 20 years.
Awesome.
This is our third project, and this has been great working with everybody. And Patrick is very humble, but I got to tell you, we bought this lot about maybe 6 or 7 years ago, and we were stuck in every way. We tried to do things, and I reached out to Patrick within a week. He reached back out to me, and he gave me some great ideas, and hopefully we can get this going. And he's correct. This is kind of which comes first, the chicken or the egg. And so we have also a dentist who wants to develop with us. And he said, well, but I want to own. And we said, well, we can't split this lot. If we split it, we can't do anything on it. And Patrick recommended maybe a condo, and the gentleman is ready to go. And hopefully we can put a nice
Good.
right south of that. Okay. Thank you, everybody. This is Matt. He's our legal counsel, and Justin from NFE.
Awesome. Good. Well, do anybody have anything to add?
I add just a couple quick comments.
No.
My name is Matthew.
You're an attorney. I figured you'd have something to say.
Yes. My name is Matthew Herron. I'm an attorney with Herzl Law. We're at 37085 Grand River in Farmington. And one major point I wanted to point out that Patrick's already mentioned, but what we're seeking to get are the locations of the buildings and then everything else. And then anytime there's a decision to put a building in, or even there's a decision to do something with the space in back, that's unit 3, they're going to have to come back here. And so that's a predicate for anything that would need to happen. And so it's not a blank check by any stretch, it's just going to have to come back. But we wanted to be able to create the condominium, create the context, create how it looks, and then have the ability, once, potentially once unit 1 is sold, to have them come back and then have the there were some minor issues and some possible back and forth with respect to a couple of things that, at least based on my interpretation, we could likely resolve either in the improvement stage or even at final site plan review. But there didn't look to be anything that was problematic from our side. It was generally positive, and we try to kind of give a lot of documentation. The master deed and bylaws have already been done and reviewed, and the entirety of the plan is almost completely done, subject to the building. If you have any questions, I'd be happy to answer them. We do have our designer, Justin Klenk, with us also.
Awesome.
Can I add that our previous office on 285 North Reedy Road was exactly like this. We actually bought from the condo a unit, and we built it with the building after. And we were with Gargaro, if you guys recall that, right off Cherry Hill and Lilly. And that was our previous dermatology office. Now it's an ENT office. Same kind of concept.
Yeah.
So now we're in the flip end. We're the kind of the owners too. So it's kind of nice growing in Canton and doing
Yeah, good. Great, thank you. All right, anybody from the commission have anything? Concerns, questions? I don't have any issues with the building design coming later. I mean, that makes sense.
Yeah, I mean, as long as you put, we're not giving out a blank check, that's.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you're building to suit,
Yep.
so that makes sense. Anybody want to make a motion?
I can make a motion.
Okay,
I move to recommend approval of the Canton Center condominium preliminary site plan, planning application number PZ26-00070 on parcel number 064-99-0011-702, subject to all state, county, and township requirements, and subject to final review of the building design, landscaping, lighting, dumpster enclosure design, and signage being deferred to final site plan review.
Support.
all right, we have a motion by Commissioner Mallett and support by Commissioner Weber. Any further discussion?
Yeah, I think you're probably going to mention, instead of building design, it'd be building location.
Oh,
Yes.
oh, thank you. Can we amend your motion
Yes.
to be building location?
Yes.
And you're okay with that, Mr. Supporter?
Yes.
Okay, all right, so we'll amend the motion, very good, thank you. All right, so any further discussion? Commissioner Lee, call the vote, please.
Commissioner Foster,
Yes.
Commissioner Lee, yes. Commissioner Mallett,
Yes.
Commissioner Walther,
Yes.
Commissioner Weber,
Yes.
Chairperson Zuber.
Yes, motion carries, good luck. Yeah, thank you. All right, so next steps, they go before the Township Board?
Yes, if there's any, our Development Review Committee is finishing up its internal review, so if there's any revisions based on our Development Review Committee, there might be some minor revisions before board review, but it'll otherwise be ready for board, and we'll advise the applicant on the next board meeting.
Okay, great, thank you.
Thank you.
Wow, okay, one more item. So now we are on item SFP, PZ 26-00097, Cherry Hill Village 2 site amendment, where we're considering final site plan on parcel number 074-03-0000000. No address. The property is located on the south side of Cherry Hill Road between South Ridge and Denton Roads, and they're proposing new construction of 2 single-family residential units, an amendment to a previously approved site plan. So Patrick, tell us more, please.
Sure, thank you. When Cherry Hill Village 2 was originally approved, it was always intended that in some of these locations that are shown on this aerial map that don't have units on them, they were intended to be developed, but for some reason, they just weren't developed during the original construction. And so the Homeowners Association has the ownership rights to those sites. They weren't intended to be designated as parks or any kind of open space with the area. They were just these undeveloped areas where units were never created. So at a previous time, maybe 3 or 4 years ago, there was a proposal by the homeowners association to add parking lots on the north sides of these parcels to meet parking demand. I don't know if the site plans were approved. I think there might have been some variances approved at that time, but the association did not proceed with any construction. At this time, the association is proposing to create units and to sell off parts of these properties for development for single-family residential. In the original application for this number, PZ 26-97, there is development proposed on each one of the sites. They both had parking on the north side. This northern site had a duplex, and the southern site had 2 detached single-family residences. After we did our first initial internal development review committee review of the plans, with the parking lots that were proposed on these sites, there would be variances that would be requested. With the duplex site, I think there were some questions about utilities and engineering that were a little bit more detailed. So the applicant had revised the plans to exclude a lot of the items that were originally proposed in the initial plan submittal, and has narrowed down the application to the southern site to just include the construction of 2 detached single-family homes. We'll see this on the plans in a moment, but I want to stay on the aerial photo just for a minute. So the homes will be on the south side of the site. So they will be comparable in size to roughly the 2 units that are located to the south, and a little bit larger than the units that are located across the street. They'll be detached units, but they'll have a little bit more space on them than the ones across the street, but similar in size to this lot to the south. And so there will be 2 single-family detached units on the site, and then there will be a strip of property on the north side that will remain as a general common element. So next, we'll go to the plan itself. So this is a survey of the plan that illustrates the proposed lots. So here's the strip on the north side that will remain as a general common element. And then 2 lots here to the south. And then scrolling farther down, here's a layout of the lots themselves. So in order for the association to allow for the creation of 2 new lots, the association has to amend the condominium. And so the applicant has applied for a site plan amendment to the condominium. We've classified this under a final site plan review, so it'd be a 1-step review, planning commission reviews, and then the board reviews. There's also going to be an engineering review concurrent with that. And what we want to do is, before an official engineering review with detailed grading utilities, et cetera, we wanted to bring this through the condominium process to get the overall layout approved so they can continue with their engineering review. And so similar to the other units that access along this alley, to the east here, this is an alleyway, and it accesses the garages. So all the garages face the alley, and then the fronts of the houses, they'll have porches and they'll face the official road, just like all the other units do along the street. So it'll be similar to the other units where it's a rear-loaded garage, the front porch, and the front of the house, front door will be facing the street, and no driveway, no garage facing the main residential street. There's landscape plans included. There's some engineering that's included on the plans themselves. And then there's floor plans and elevation plans. For the most part, the plans comply with the architectural standards of the Cherry Hill Village design guidelines. We're still in the process of doing our internal development review committee review of the plans. We will probably have a few comments about the architecture and the compliance with the Cherry Hill Village overlay design requirements, but probably nothing too major. We've had one round of review, one set of review applicant, and provided design guideline comments, and then we're in the midst of our second round of reviews. But with the project being scaled down to just 2 single-family lots, we think that now is a good time to bring it before the Planning Commission for site plan approval and review. If the site plan is recommended for approval by the Planning Commission for the 2 detached single-family homes, that's all this would include now that the application has been modified. We would recommend 2 conditions. The first is submittal of revised building designs for Planning Division review, which must comply with the applicable requirements of the Cherry Hill Village Overlay Design Guidelines, the adopted pattern book of Cherry Hill Village 2, and the Architectural Review Committee. The second recommended condition is submittal of a revised master deed amendment document that's satisfactory to Planning Division and Township Legal Counsel. There was a master deed amendment that was recorded that included the lots there. That will have to, I don't know if it's something that can be reversed, but something that would have to be reconciled because a master deed can't be recorded without approval from the township. So there was a master deed amendment that showed the creation of these lots, but they can't be given parcel numbers or addresses without township approval. And we can't approve tax ID numbers or addresses until those lots have been approved by the township board upon recommendation with the planning commission. So that'll have to be something that will have to be corrected, but that can be an administrative process in the sense of getting that document prepared for township legal counsel to review prior to township board review of the application, so that by that point it's clean in terms of both the facade design and the Cherry Hill overlay guidelines, and then any master deed amendment document that would have to be recorded for the creation of the 2 lots, and then addressing the previously recorded master deed amendment that would not be in effect. So that concludes our staff review of this application, and happy to take any questions.
Thank you, Patrick. So they're proposing to build 2 identical homes, basically?
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, there will probably be some variations in color and maybe a little bit of style, but for the most part, yes.
Okay, very good. Is the project sponsor here? All right. Please state your name and address for the record.
Hi, Blake Very in 50581 Grant Street, Canton, Michigan.
Okay.
Justin Klink, Noack and Frost Engineers, 28 West Adams Avenue, Detroit.
Okay, great. Do you have anything to add to what Patrick had to say?
Not really. We just took a couple of plans that we've built in the village before. So this is our O'Neill plan that if you drive through Cherry Hill Village, you'll probably see many of them. And it's a larger plan that was built there, so we figured it would do well, being that a lot of the stuff that's being developed and built in the Canton area is in that 22 to 2,600 square foot range.
Okay. Very good. Anybody from the commission have anything to say?
What's the price point you're expecting?
Probably be in the mid to upper 5s.
Okay. Another question, more of technical one. I saw the master deed and there's lots in here numbering to about 190, and there's a percentage. In the master deed, each one of these houses, is there 190 homes and they all have a percentage? Is that what that means? Maybe I'm wrong.
Patrick, do you know?
This may not be your question, sorry.
Yeah, the number of lots, I think, will change somewhat when the next master deed is recorded, if this plan is approved, and then they'll have a certain number of lots. It might be, in the upper 180s. So based on that, each lot will be responsible for, just under 1% of whatever they're out.
Right, I see that. And each one is assigned a specific number. I've never seen that. That's why I'm asking. I just hadn't seen that before. So, okay, that's something offline.
Yeah, and it might be something as they add units, they need to be more specific with percentages. I'm not sure how it gets calculated. But yeah.
That's all I had. Thank you.
Anybody else? Okay, who wants to make a motion?
I make a motion.
Okay,
Sure, Mallard's the star tonight.
he is the motion maker,
Yeah.
the mover and shaker.
I move to approve planning application number PZ 26-00097 for the site plan amendment for Cherry Hill Village 2 on the 0.32 acre portion of parcel number 074-03-0000-000 for the construction of 2 detached, single-family residences, subject to all state, county, and township requirements, and subject to the following conditions being met prior to Township Board review of the application. Number 1, submittal of revised building designs for Planning Division review, which must comply with the applicable requirements of Cherry Hill Village Overlay District Design Guidelines, the adopted pattern book of Cherry Hill Village 2, and the Architectural Review Committee. And number 2, submittal of revised master deed amendment document that is satisfactory to the Planning Division and Township Legal Counsel.
All right. So we have a motion.
Support.
Okay. We have a motion by Commissioner Mallett and support by Commissioner Walther. Any further discussion? Nope. All right. Commissioner Lee, could you please call the vote?
Commissioner Foster,
Yes.
Commissioner Lee, yes. Commissioner Mallett,
Yes.
Commissioner Walther,
Yes.
Commissioner Weber,
Yes.
Chairperson Zuber.
Yes, motion carries. All right. Good
Thank you.
luck.
Have a good night.
Thank you. You too. All right, Patrick. Anything else?
No, I think
We've come to the end of our long agenda. You've kept us a long time.
yes, I appreciate your patience and your diligence with everything.
Well, I don't know that we're all patient over here.
I'm going to talk to you.
Do we have a motion to approve, to adjourn?
So moved. Motion to adjourn.
Support.
All right, we have a motion to adjourn by Commissioner Lee and support by Commissioner Mallett. Any further discussion? All right, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye, let's go. Thank you.